Okay, welcome back to the second part of our introductory tutorial. Today we're going to be taking this a little bit further into actually construction of a full game. We're going to be starting with a game very similar to Space Invaders. We're going to be looking at a game where we're going to have a player spaceship who can move left, right, up and down at the bottom of the map. We're going to have enemies that are going to be shooting at us that are going to be moving in patterns, which we're going to set up. We're also going to modify the room. Obviously, we're going to need win mechanics, lose mechanics, and some method of interactivity. What we've got on the left hand side of the screen at the minute is based on the earlier tutorial that we did together. We've got our sprites, our objects and our rooms that we've set up. You might start when you reopen GameMaker 8.1, it might be minimized, and if you can't see them, just need to click on the little arrows to the left hand side to open those up. What you'll then find, guys, is you'll have the level itself, which is what we're going to be starting with on the left hand side. We're going to start by modifying this. We've already got our sprites set up. If you haven't yet set these up or you're not sure what these are, double check the earlier tutorial. I'm going to make this full screen just because I like when I'm working to have the available things completely filling up the screen. I've also got the maximize and minimize, so if yours currently isn't maximized, you can maximize it by clicking on that. Currently our room is a peculiar shape for Space Invaders. It's very squat, it's quite wide, it's not very tall. So we're going to start by changing that. So on the left hand side, where you can see that we've got the object settings, which we had before where we could add the object to our room, we're going to instead go to its settings, which is this one here. You can see the name of the level, you can also see the width and the height. First thing we're going to do here is we're going to change the height just to 1000. And I'm setting it to 1000 just as an arbitrary value. There's no real power in that value, it's just an arbitrary number, and 1000 is just going to be our height that we're going to use. Underneath that you can see the speed, that's the frame rate of this level. By default it goes to 30 FPS, which is more than adequate for what we need. You can change that, but be aware any of the maths that we're going to do will get affected by what you change the frame rate to be. Last thing we're going to do with our room before we move on is we're going to change its background. So clicking on its background here, we can add different backgrounds. So if we've got images, we could add them using the backgrounds tab over here. But for now, all we're going to do is change the background color. It doesn't make sense for space to be grey. Space should be black. So I'm just choosing that, and now we've got black as our game. What you also notice is if for whatever reason you move up or down, I'm using the middle mouse to do this, also to zoom out. If you do find that it gets a little bit lost on screen, you can just click middle mouse to move around where you are. Also, we're going to go back to our objects now, and we're going to put our spaceship in our level. So again, if you've got multiple options, choose the spaceship obj_spaceship from the list, and place it roughly in the middle of our scene towards the bottom. Very, very small spaceship at the moment. What I'm going to do, just for testing, is to demonstrate that when I press play, it'll again do an antivirus scan as it has done before. My spaceship has no instruction. My game has loaded, but if I press it down, left, and right, absolutely nothing happens, nor should it. So I'm just going to close that down, and we're going to go back to the GameMaker editor. What I'm now going to do here is start by giving my object instructions. I'm going to do that by going to the objects. Notice that sprites are just for the pictures and any animations you're going to add. Objects are for the code and the instructions. Now again, if this isn't maximized, perhaps it looks like that when you've opened it up, just maximize it to make it make complete full use of the space. What we're now going to do here is we're going to start by giving it the instruction to move left, and then going right will be exactly the same, but obviously opposite. What we're going to do here is we're going to add an event. Key things to know here is that the event panel are your triggers, the things that the computer is waiting for in order to start things happening, and the actions which are on this side here are the things that will then happen once that event is detected. So let's do an example. When I add an event, and I've got a list of options here, we're going to add a key press, and I'm going to say when I press the left key on my keyboard. Then we're going to say what happens. On the right hand side, we've got all of the all of the actions that we can then happen. GameMaker comes with the drag and drop options which are built in, which are really basic ways of getting things to do things. They're powerful, but we're not going to use them. They're a little too basic for us. So instead what we're going to do is jump to the control panel, which is the fourth option down on the right hand side, and we're going to write some code. For now it might seem a little bit much, but don't worry, it gets easier as we go. The first instruction we're going to modify here is we're going to change our spaceship's speed. It's currently travelling at a speed of 0 because it's going nowhere. So we're going to give it a speed of 5. So every time I press left, it's going to travel at a speed of 5. The problem is it also needs to know which direction it's going to travel in. So we're going to travel at a direction of 180. It'll make a little bit more sense later on why it's 180. Key thing to note is that when you're travelling right, the direction is 0. When you're going up, it's 90 degrees, and when you're going left, it's 180, and then 270 is at the bottom, then all the way back round to 360 when you go back to the right again. Just like anything else, it just goes round as a complete circle. You'll also notice you've got these things right if you've misspelled it, the text will go black. It might also give you a text hint to tell you perhaps you meant this turn. So we've got speed of 5 and a direction of 180. When I press the play then, top left hand corner, remember you can press F5, I'm going to press left on my keyboard and my spaceship will move. I've now left go of the key, but he's carrying on going. Our spaceship has only had one instruction, which is to go left when I press left, and that's what it's happily done, and he's still going. So we need another event. We need to say, well, hang on, when I let go of the left key, perhaps you should stop. So we are now going to add a new event. When I key press and when I key release left, which is the little green icon there, when I release left, we're going to add some new code, and that's going to be speed equals 0. We're going to stop traveling. We're going to travel at a speed of 0, and then we're going to play our game. So, pressing left, releasing left, pressing left, releasing left, pressing left, releasing left. Hardly exciting at this stage, but we're getting there. The problem that we're now going to solve is that when I keep going left, holding down the left cursor, we are just going to leave our screen. This is a problem. We don't want our spaceship to do that. So we're going to come up with some options here. We're going to add an event, and we're going to add something under Other. These are all the default events that you're going to be using. Other hides some of the more interesting ones. What we're going to say here is when I intersect the boundary of the room, when I touch the edge of the room, we want to stop in exactly the same way we did before. So dragging a bit of code, speed equals 0. Stop moving when I touch the edge of the room. So I'm holding down left, holding down left, holding down left, still holding down left. There is a flaw with this, which is if I tap left, I can still leave. For our purposes, though, that's not a problem. It's enough to tell the gamer that they've perhaps done something they shouldn't have done. Now I'm going to give you the opportunity to do the going right yourselves.